Back at another day of warm-ups. Today's warm-up is going to be done, a majority of it, on the ground. So if you need to grab a mat or go somewhere a little bit more comfortable, feel free to hit pause and head there. Otherwise, we're going to get right after things today. We're going to start in plank. As you know, planks are a fantastic way to warm up. They're a way that I get warmed up most of the time, and they're something that are incorporated into almost all of the warm-ups here. So with that plank position, as always, we're looking for our shoulder, our elbow, and our wrist all to be in line, and keeping a nice flat back, avoiding the hips going up too high in the air and sagging down. Obviously that was a little bit over exaggerated, but it gives you an idea of the position that we really want to be in. So just taking some deep breaths here in plank. Again, taking some of those exhales. As we go through this, if any of this is giving you a hard time, feel free to adjust as needed. If you need to spend additional time, feel free to spend additional time going through some other movements or other stretches as well. This warm-up is all meant for you. So we're going to start by bringing the hips now up into our downward facing dog. We'll take a few pedals of our feet back and forth. Should feel a good stretch to the calves, ankles, getting everything nice and loose. We're going to be taking a little bit of a yoga style flow here for our warm-up today, so stick with me the best you can. I'll walk you through it. We'll be taking a three-legged downward dog. Our right leg is going to go up into the air, and then we're going to be stepping that to the outside of your right hand. So as I'm set up here, you can see my hand and my foot are directly next to each other. That's going to allow for a really good stretch and keeping our knee in a really good position as well. So we're going to start by drawing a big circle with that knee around our ankle joint. Starting to get some movement here. And we'll take those circles in the opposite direction, staying on the same foot. And just breathing through all of this. I'm going to return back into our plank position, setting the hips up into downward facing dog. Doing the same thing on the opposite side. So this time our left leg goes high into three-legged downward dog. We'll be stepping that to the outside of your left hand. Again, we're looking for the foot and the hand to be directly next to each other, and that back knee can be dropped down towards the ground. As we work into some of these hip circles, some of you may have a little bit more mobility and flexibility than I do. That's good. That's a good thing. You might be able to sink down even deeper than I am. So again, going for this movement and all of these movements for our warm-ups to get to your range of motion that feels like a good stretch. Let's kick those circles in the opposite direction while I'm multitasking here. So just looking to feel the stretch for you. Whether that means it looks a little bit different than it does for me, that's fine. So it's just a good spot to be in for our warm-up. We're going to turn that back into our plank position. This time starting that flow. So our chest will come halfway to the ground. We'll flip our toes, pressing the chest up. Feeling a good stretch to the front side, maybe even a little bit in the back too if you're tight. And then we're going to send those hips up into our downward facing dog. Pedaling the feet out. Three-legged downward dog. The right leg is going to go up into the air, and then we're going to meet the right knee to our nose. So we're bringing that in the middle, crunching, setting that back up. Again, meeting to the middle with a good crunch. Continuing going through 3 more of these. I'll try to remember so I can keep it even on both sides for us. And we'll go 1 more. Stepping that back into plank, adjusting if you need to. We're going to go with the chest halfway to the ground. I almost forgot what I was doing. Flipping up into our upward facing dog, and then going downward facing dog. Same pedals of the feet back and forth. This time the left leg goes high, meeting left knee to nose, setting it back up. Left knee to nose and back. Taking 3 more. 2, 1. And returning that back into plank. We can drop down to the knees. We're going to get a little bit of a stretch in here for our upper body, and that's going to be our child's pose. Very traditional stretch, letting the chest come down to the ground, reaching your hands out in front of you. Taking some deep breaths. So if you feel comfortable, you can let your forehead relax on the mat that you have. If you're in your garage or your basement and you don't feel comfortable with your forehead on the ground, that's okay too. Just really trying to press the chest to the ground. We'll walk our hands over to the right side. You're going to feel even a better stretch down the left side of your body. Taking those breaths. Walking hands over to the other side. Same thing. As we're going over to the left side, we can think about pressing your right hip out, and you're going to feel a big difference in the stretch down the side of your body. As we return back into middle, we'll be going back into our plank. We'll be going through some of that yoga flow again, adding some different elements and some different twists in there. So we're going to find ourselves in that plank position and keep the elbows tight to our body. Chest comes halfway to the ground. We're hovering over the ground. We're holding there. Drop to the knees if you have to, but keep on holding. And flip your toes. We'll press up into our upward facing dog. And again, going into our downward facing dog. Taking a few of those pedals of the feet back and forth. And slowly returning to plank. Chest comes halfway to the ground. We're hovering. Again, stick with me the best you can. Don't let the chest touch. Drop to your knees if you have to for 3, 2, 1. Flipping your toes, pressing that on up, and sending the hips high to downward facing dog. Going through that one more time. I promise there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The end is near. Returning back into plank. Again, chest comes halfway down. Hold. Stay there, really active. Notice my butt is in line. We're avoiding it going way up high. Again, over-exaggerated, but gives you that idea. Keep on holding and press up. And send the hips up high. We're going to go three-legged downward dog. Our right leg goes up. We'll be stepping to the outside of your right hand. From here, that back knee can drop down to the ground. I'm going to take either the hands up overhead or placing them on top of your knee and squeezing the glutes, sending our hips forward. Feeling a good stretch now through our hip flexors. Now, if your left knee is on the ground, we can take our left hand, reaching it up and over. You might feel even a better stretch this way. If you're feeling good with the hands on the knees or hands up overhead, both of those are great options. The warm-up today is not one that you'll probably leave really sweaty in, but it definitely is going to give us some good blood flow into our body and get some good stretching and mobility in before a workout, which is also an important piece of that warm-up. I'm going to set both hands back to the ground, stepping back into high plank. Let's go through that flow. So chest comes halfway down. No need to hold this time. I put you through enough already. Upward facing dog and downward facing dog. Three-legged downward dog. Left leg goes high. Step into the outside of your left hand, letting that back knee drop to the ground. Coming into our position here with either hands on the knee, hands overhead, or taking that side bend. Take a twist as well. All of this stuff is just meant for you to feel things out, knowing what your body feels like, and then tailoring this, taking this warm up and making it your own. So after we go through this today, if you feel that you need some additional work, feel free to hop in that work before going into our workout. Holding here, just getting that good stretch in the hip flexor. Taking a few deep breaths. And that is your warm-up for today. We got some good movement in. Enjoy your workout. Make the most of it. Really push that intensity, push that weight that you're doing today, and make this workout count. You're doing the right stuff. If you're doing the right stuff, the results always follow. Enjoy the journey. We'll see you next time. Enjoy your workout today.